What's up, everybody? Jake from Fire Hazard Garage here. Josh isn't in this episode again. He's in West Virginia. He thinks just because he works there, he gets to stay there and not come see me. But today, we are going to be tearing apart this 727 Torqueflite that's behind me. I also bought this for our crew cab build, which you guys may not have seen yet. We'll see when that gets uploaded. I can't rotate this. But I'll cut to it. I offered a guy $100 on Facebook Marketplace for this thing, and we're going to see what it looks like. It's a short tail shaft. There's a long version of this I can show you guys. I got one in my car next to me. But we're going to get right into this. We're going to tear it apart and see what it looks like inside. So stay tuned and enjoy. Alrighty, everybody. Let me get some of these rags out of the way real quick. I laid down an area to lay stuff down out of the transmission. It's kind of clean. It's not the cleanest, but we're going to be cleaning everything anyways and going through it and seeing how it looks. So first things first, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this tail shaft off. And before I get started, I just wanted to let you guys know that I have already tore this apart just to make it a little bit easier to film. There's some parts in this thing that are kind of a pain in the butt to get out, so I took all those parts out in lieu of this video, so it wouldn't take too long. So like right now, the pinion nut's loose. Yoke nut, I guess, is loose because I've already had it off. You got a nut and a washer. I believe this is an 1 1/8" nut, if I remember correctly. But that should just pull right off. Sometimes they'll be stuck on there. If they're corroded on, you'll have to get a puller and pull that off. And then around the bell housing here, or the tail shaft here, there is 6 9/16 bolts. So I'm just going to grab my Milwaukee ratchet here, zip those out real fast. Let's see here. And like I said, all this stuff is loose. I've already had this apart to make it a little easier. That one's tight. Ignore me fidgeting around and stuff. I'm out in my garage and it's like 1/2 midnight. And I got mosquitoes flying around everywhere, so if you see me twitching around and swinging around, I'm trying to get the skeeters. Alright, now that all those are out, this tail shaft here should just pop right off. Boom. Alright, so this right here is your output shaft. Connected to your output shaft is this is your park sprocket, I guess is what you could call it. I'm sure there's a technical term for that. I don't know what it is. But anyways, let's see if I can get a good picture of this here. So in this tail housing here, right here is where that rod goes in. There's a rod right here. This is your park rod. So when you're shifting, let's see, it's moving a little bit. It's kind of spring loaded, but when you're shifting, this will push into this hole right here, like my finger just did, and see how that little claw comes out? That locks in to this little geared tooth here, and that's what puts it in park. This here, this little aluminum looking thing with the 2 C-clips in it on each side is called the governor. This is what controls what speed or what RPM your transmission will shift at for the most part. And here, there's a little weight that you could change out, which will determine what speed this shifts at least for the most part. There's shift kits and stuff where you can adjust line pressures and all that fun stuff. We're not getting that involved. We're just going to go through this, make it a little bit over a factory rebuild, make it shift a little harder so it's not just a slush box. But what we're we're going to do now is we're going to take this governor off. And to do that, there's a snap ring right here. Get you guys in there. Right here, snap ring. Pop that off, this governor will slide right off. And chances are, actually no it won't, my front pump's still in. But if you have your front pump out, this will all just fall out if you tap this with a mallet. But we're not going to do that. I'm just going to take this off, slide this off, and we'll take the pan off next. So let me get you guys set back up here. Let me get you closer so it's easier to see. There we go. Let me get my pliers here. Oh, I got the wrong ones. These are the ones I want. Oh. This guy off of here. There we go. Snap ring. And this governor and the sprocket should all slide right off. Oh, I forgot a part. See, look at me. Just like you guys. A lot of you probably, most of you. I've never really torn apart a transmission. Kind of, sort of, but not really. But let's see here. So there's this pin. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it. Right here is a pin that goes the whole way through this output shaft, and there is a little C-clip on it. Get you guys in there. There's that little C-clip on it that you got to pop off, and that pin will slide out one side. It doesn't really matter which side you take out, but it will slide out. So let me get a little, either a pick or a flathead in there. Where is the, let me use this one. You just get a flathead in here. And then maybe not this one. The head's broke off of this one. Let's see. Can I get it on the other side? There we go. Be careful not to lose that clip. It's mighty small. Pull that pin out. And then this whole thing should lift off. There we go. Alright, now I gotta find my clip because it fell down in. There we go. I'm just going to pop mine back on this rod so I don't lose it. Maybe. I got to get a pair of pliers. Pop back on. I'll show you guys, like right here. This is one of the weights. There's a snap ring on this side because there's a weight in here. And it kind of, you could take it apart, change the weights. There's a spring in here. And then this is the valve on this side. No valve looking thing. This is what controls some of the pressure. Again, I'm not exactly sure how all of this works. It's just stuff I've read online and the other videos I've watched. I'm no master at this, but I have somewhat of an idea of what's going on. And when you're taking these apart, try to lay all your parts in order with what they go with. It'll make putting this thing back together so much simpler. Okay. We got that back part off. Now we're going to spin this and I'm going to take the pan off. You can see I've been leaking fluid everywhere. It's another reason I tore this apart before it was on camera so I didn't make that big of a mess. Alright, all your pan bolts should be 1/2 inch if I remember right. Yep, sure are. Turn this a little more. Scoot you guys back so you can see. Alright, we'll zip all these off real fast. Go, pan off. I just throw all the bolts in here. So one thing I did notice when I took this apart the first time, which I found a little bit strange, is in the pan right here where this dimple is, there's supposed to be a magnet, a round magnet that goes around that, and it was not in here. So I suspect that somebody was in here at one point. Not 100% sure. Like I said, sometimes, you know, the factory, they didn't have the greatest of quality control. They kind of just threw stuff together. All right, so next is the valve body. And before you take the valve body off, I already took it out and got rid of it. There is a filter, these 3 screws right here that gets held on by those. You got to take that off to access some of these bolts. The other thing is, before taking the valve body out, is over here is your shift lever. That's kind of bad lighting, sorry about that. But you'll have 1 lever or 2 levers on here. The first one is for your actual shifter rod. So when you put it in drive, reverse, neutral, whatever, that spins the main one, which puts it in that gear. This little one up here will have a lever for the kickdown. The kickdown is connected to the carburetor, so when you give it gas or floor it or whatever, it kicks it down to another gear. You've got to take those 2 off or this will not come out. So next you got to take out all these 7/16 bolts around this whole thing, and the valve body will come out. And you got to pay attention here, because right here where this little circle shape is, there is a spring and like a piston in there, or what's it called the accumulator, I think is what it's called, the accumulator piston. Pull all these guys out. That one's wedged. All right, when you're pulling this out, like I said, watch this spring, and sometimes you got to fight over here. Now, if you don't take your tail housing off first, this is going to be up in here. You got to remember you have this, or you could bend it trying to yank it out. So all you got to do is pop down here out first, where the shifter goes up through the case. Boom. And you can get an angle it out and down. Woohoo, slippery. And your valve body will come out. And like I said, that spring's right here. And then your accumulator piston, and there's another spring in it. I'll set that off to the side. Now next, these are the parts I already took out. I put them in a baggie here so I wouldn't lose them. So this is your low band and reverse band. And then you can't see it right, nah, I guess you can. Right here would be your second gear band. And to take those out, let me find these real fast for you guys so I could show you. So right here's your shifter levers that I've already taken off. They kind of just clamp on there. They pop off. And the next part, these are your band adjuster, I forget what they're called. Sprockets, not sprockets. Anyways, they're little rods that go in between your little bands here. So your band, here's the rear one, the smaller one. This goes on one side, this little triangle looking thing. It sits in a ball. goes on one side. This little one here goes on the other side, in between this arm. You'll see it when you take yours apart. They typically fall out once you loosen this. And then for your larger band, which is your second gear band, this guy, way bigger, you'll have this big one. We put these back in the bag so I don't lose them. So how you get your bands out is when you're in here, this will be your low band. You want to break this jam nut loose and then spack it out. That'll loosen up that band. It'll be able to come out. For your high gear band, third band, whatever you want to call it, over here on the case, I gotta spin it here. Oops. Right here on the side of the case, you got to break that jam nut loose and loosen this, and that will, you can't really see it in there, it's in the side of the case, so I'll have to show you when everything's out. But that'll loosen that big band, and that'll allow you to get that out. All right, so we got all that stuff out. Now we can pull our front pump and the internals. Let me lower you guys a little bit. I'm gonna be working a little lower. You can also take this neutral safety switch off now too. This is what lets your car get the signal, or truck, the signal that it's in park, reverse for your reverse lights, stuff like that. There we go. Whoever took this out was really nice and left me the harness. Usually people just cut those things off. Let's see what size that is. Nope. Nope, one bigger. One more bigger. I think I brought it. It's a 1 inch. Boom, loose. And that just spins out. It actually even gives you the pins on it. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. Center one's an N, the right one's a B. Oh, they're both B's. I'm not sure what they mean. Anyways, that's out. That was a 1 inch, by the way. Some years, models might be different, not sure. Can't vouch. But now we're gonna lay this thing down and start taking the front bump out. Yeah. There we go. And this thing will lay flat. You just gotta watch your levers under here. Levers and fingers, you gotta watch them. It's not gonna wanna, it's fine. So your pump bolts, if I recall, are also 1/2 inch. Yes, they are. And this is easy to have. About an 8-10 inch extension. Makes it a whole lot easier with an electric ratchet. Did I put the wrong socket on? Sure did. Come on. Oh boy, making a mess. So, oh, I missed one. I missed one. There we go. So, when you guys take these apart, if you do take one apart, you'll see these little washers under the heads of these bolts. I'm pretty sure these are seals, like a crush seal kind of. Don't know yet, don't have the rebuild kit. My dad does these, rebuilds them, so I'd have to ask him. Alright, now typically your pump is going to have a seal around it, which I have already taken out to make things easier. It's going to have a seal like this that goes around the outside. And to get this pump out, usually with that seal in, bring you guys down here, is if you look in the pump, see this hole here? It's got threads in it. The one on the opposite side also does. This is for getting a slide hammer on. Only those two holes have it. These ones do not. This is the pump itself that's threaded. All these other holes, they're not threaded. It's only the bell housing that is. So, what I did was when I took my tail housing off, is these bolts right here, ones that hold it on, they fit in there. See, they thread right into just the pump. Just like that. Then you get your slide hammer on, knock one side, knock the other side. It'll come right out. The easy way to do this, if you don't have a slide hammer, is how I showed you earlier. Take your tail housing off, then you take your governor off, and then you just give this tail shaft here, output shaft, a smack, and everything will fall out and you can lift the whole case off. Let me turn this a little better for you guys here. Alright, so now we're going to pull the pump out. Oh, okay, we're pulling everything out. Everything's coming with it. Let me try to get just the pump. Everything's coming. There we go. Alright, ignore that stuff for a minute. Alright, here's your pump. This is the stator shaft. If you take this off, this piece right here, and there will be the rotary pump. That's what spins and pumps all your hydraulic fluid through your transmission. There's also a seal on the back of this. It's paper. Usually they rip. It's good to replace them when you're in here. Next up is your high gear clutch back. There's a little snap ring in here. We'll show you in another video taking this apart. There's a snap ring that comes out, and all your steels and clutches for your high gears are in here. And then in this one, you can actually pull this whole shaft out. It'll come out as one, and usually those will stay on it. But since I had mine apart, it's not happy. Next, in here, also steels and clutches. This is for your low and reverse. And there's a pressure spring and a bunch of stuff in here. Again, we'll tear these apart in another video, show you guys all that stuff. This is just a basic, here's everything teardown. So next, you can see in there a planetary gear. And I'll get you guys in there. There's also this little big star washer thing in here. Right here. It's like a thrust washer kind of. Most likely gonna replace that. So next is that planetary gear you see. And ooh, you can see there's a snap ring in front of it. So you can either take that snap ring off now, or what I'm going to do is pull this whole output shaft out as one piece and then take it apart. And I'll show you how to do that now. Not really hard, you just grab and pull. make sure you support the weight on the back and the front. So you don't drop it and bang everything up like your output shaft. There you go, it comes out as one piece. And then back here is another thing I took out. This is that low band gear that I was telling you guys about. This one, the small one. This will be in the back there. You have to loosen up that strut rod. That's what it's called. Couldn't remember the name earlier. But you got to loosen up that strut rod to get this out. And you kind of got to shimmy it. One other thing I took out is I'll show you guys. So there's one more drum in there that you can see. Actually, I might be able to get you guys some better light. Let's see what we got here. There we go. That makes it better. I'm gonna make some room here. Woo. This thing doesn't want to turn. Let's try that. So this will come out now. Another drum. This is your low reverse drum. And it slides on to this guy right here, planetary. And so you can see in here, see this tooth. I don't even know what to call it, bearing, bushing, something like that. That is supposed to come out of there, and I'm not sure why it's not, so we'll have to look into that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to come out of there. It's supposed to stay on the sprag back there. I don't know, we'll have to look at it. Have to look at it. Anywho. Maybe not. I'm lying to you guys, it don't. See back in here, this black thing? And all these little teeth in here? That is called the sprag. And that thing, 95% of the time, is going to fall apart when you pull one of these apart. I'm going to pull these out of this bag to show you. You're going to have these little springs here. They kind of look like accordions, accordion springs. And these not ball bearings, roller bearings. There's going to be a bunch of these things that fall out. You do not want to lose these. When I tore this apart the first time, I'm not sure if I did it or if it was like that. I did find one that was pretty mangled. Let me look for it. Now they're all stuck together. Let me dump them out. I might have gotten rid of it. I don't think I did though. There it is. And you can see how this one got pinched or something and broke. There we go. Which is easy to do with these. I could have done it tearing it apart. Anything could have got in there and messed it up. Because they are just like little sheet metal things. But a bunch of those will fall out. You want to make sure you don't lose them. Now the last part I'll show you here in this video is taking the rest of the stuff off this output shaft. Get this drum out of the way here. So, right here, snap ring. Pop that baby off. Whoops. Boom, snap ring. You guys can't see it, sorry. The snap ring goes right in front of that planetary. And then planetary comes off. Let me angle you guys down a little bit here so you can see. There we go. So now this planetary gear right here should slide off. You're gonna have these thrust washers all through this thing. There's a bunch of them. There's one that I actually forgot to put in for this video over here. You want to make sure that you have all of these in when you put this thing back together, or your spacing's not going to be right. So I need that one. So there's one planetary, and then you guys are buying 727s. These are the ones you want. So if you can find a 727 for the cheap, get one that has 4 pins. You know, if they have 4 pins, typically, if it's an RV or a truck, they'll have the 4-pin planetaries. Other ones only have 3-pin planetaries. They're not as strong. These ones are the better ones. That's why I kind of went after this transmission when they said $100 for it, because it was the stronger version, and it's the short tail shaft I need because we're going to be putting a divorce transfer case in this truck. Let me slide that back down in there, set it off to the side. Next is your sun gear. That held onto the planetary. Other planetary. This is your sun gear. Usually these are a-okay. You gotta watch, sometimes these teeth will get wore down in the sides. You can take this apart if you want to. There's like bushings and stuff in it. These are the gears the planetaries ride on. If you want to take it apart, there is a snap ring right there. There's one on both sides. You guys have at it. I'm not taking mine apart. There's also, it must be, yeah, it's stuck under the gear, but there's like a thrust surface here that if it needs replaced, you will have to pop that snap ring out. Set this one off to the side. And here's your other planetary, again with those thrust washers. Gotta watch for them. This is your other planetary, also a 4-pin. The other ones, like I said, and the lighter duty stuff will be 3. You're gonna make sure that all these teeth are good, not mangled, which these ones look good. They spin free. There's not too much side play or wobble. So you should be all right. And then the last thing is your output shaft. I lied. Your drum for your planetary, and then your output shaft. Output shafts will be different depending on what you get. Like mine is a short tail shaft, so obviously it's going to be shorter. Sorry about that, guys. Phone died. So what I was saying is, short tail shaft, obviously shorter. You'll get these and like the tail housing that you guys saw, that's usually a truck RV tail housing. It'll always have the bolt-on yoke. Now, long tail shaft, I don't have that I could take out and show you, but I do have a transmission in a car I can crawl under and show you. I forget exactly how long it is. I think it's 28 inches instead of 14. Not 100% certain. Not a guru on these things, like I told you. But it's really, there is to it. I mean, like you guys saw, I didn't really use a bunch of specialty tools. It was really just a bunch of hand tools. So I guess next we'll break this video down for you guys of some of the internals. I can show you how to take the rest of the case apart, which isn't hard. There's just a bunch of pins and stuff and certain holes you got to go through to get them. Here real quick, I'll climb under this car. I'll show you a long tail shaft one. All right, guys, it's a little bit difficult to see, and I probably sound goofy because I'm under here. Right there's the bell housing, and you can see how much longer this tail shaft is. Can't even get the whole thing in here. But those are the same bolts we took out on that other transmission. And the tail shaft actually comes all the way back here. Usually you'll find these long ones in cars, 2-wheel drive trucks. Sometimes an RV will have these, not very often. But this one takes a slip yoke. You guys can see here on the back, there's no spot to thread a yoke in. It's a slip yoke. That's really the only big difference between car and truck, different types. That pan is off of a newer style transmission. That's why it's deeper. So if you guys want to get a deep transmission pan for cheap, find a newer one, like out of a 90s Dodge truck, Dakota, something like that. They usually are deeper, and then you could buy a little extension for the filter that lowers it. So, up next, I'll show you guys how to tear all this stuff apart, how to look at everything. There's other really good videos on YouTube. There's one that's like an actual tech manual that you guys can watch out there if you really want to get that involved in it. This is more of a garage kind of do it dirty kind of thing. So we'll see you guys next time. We'll be tearing apart these drums, all the clutches and steels. Going through these, I could tear the pump apart, show you guys how it works. We'll see how long that video gets. The valve body I am not tearing into. There's lots of balls and little doodads and all kinds of crazy stuff in there. That'll be its own video if we do a shift kit in it. The governor, there's really nothing to. I kind of showed you how to take that apart already. The only other thing really is that bearing in there, which you don't want to press out if it's not bad, because you can only get those at Brewer's Performance from what I can read or tell, and it looks like I might need one. They're looking a little rusty in there, but we'll see if they clean up. And then that speedometer gear, which isn't hard. It's kind of like a distributor hold down. Take one bolt out, and then you wiggle that thing out, and the whole gear and everything will come. And your transmission mount, easy. 2 bolts. Yeah, that's it. We'll see you guys in the next episode when we start tearing into all this stuff. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like this video. Let us know what you want to see. And we'll see you guys later.